Policy Secretariat. Professor Sri Lanka, Professor Pereira, Professor Ajith, Mr. Rizvi Sahi, scientists, and my dear friends. First of all, let me say thank you very much to the organizers. For inviting me this morning to share a few thoughts at the National Conference of Biotechnology. I think Professor Vitarna would have thought it fit to invite me because the topic says biotechnology for wealth creation, and perhaps that would have given him a clue that we are also very keen about wealth creation, and in that sense we have thought it's useful to get a few ideas as to how we also think the scientists of our country could contribute to wealth creation. I also listened with intensity to the words spoken so far, and the fact that there is a COSTI that has been proposed and is in functioning today to coordinate all these activities. And after listening to Professor Ajith, and where he spoke about the conversion of 1:141, where science is going to develop ideas as well as processes that could generate revenues and profits. Perhaps after some time you can change the word costi to profity, and we would be certainly happy if that is done. Let me give you a quick update about the Sri Lankan economy and what we have as thoughts for the future, because then you would probably be able to find ways and means through which science and particularly biotechnology could contribute towards this new era and the new economy that we are thinking of. Today, Sri Lanka is a $67 billion economy, and we're moving fast at a rapid rate of around 7.8% or close to 8% growth, which in today's context is something very strong. And we will probably reach around $77 billion economy by the end of this year, 87 by the year after, and by 2016 we would be a $100 billion economy with a per capita income of around $4,600. We're setting the stage for 2020, where we would like to see Sri Lanka being a middle income nation at around $7,500 per capita income, which means that our economy would grow to around $150 billion. Now, in that scenario, we've identified several components that will contribute to the economic activity of our country. And one certainly is science and technology, and particularly information technology, all of which would be very important facets of this new growth story that Sri Lanka is moving towards. We also know that around the $4,000 per capita income mark, the country moves into what is popularly or notoriously known as the middle income trap, and we need to seamlessly move beyond that. And one of the strategies that we have identified through the economic planning processes is to have an economy which has many facets, one of which is yours, which will take us forward seamlessly without being trapped in certain areas that many other countries have fallen into. So that's a broad outline of what you have in mind, and in that sense we have a lot to do. It's not that there is a magic wand somewhere that when you wave it that we will reach $7,500 per capita income, but we need to work very, very conscientiously towards that. At the time that we gained independence, we were a reasonably advanced nation compared to what the rest of Asia was. Certainly not anywhere close to Europe. We have been for 43 years under foreign rule, during which time there were many facets of our economy that were neglected, and we had to rebuild. So the last 66 years, we have rebuilt. And today, from around a per capita of 200 in 1948, we have moved to 4,000, close to 4,000, which is an important part of our transition. But beyond that, we will need new instruments and new elements in our economy. And today, you are identifying the role of biotechnology in the process of wealth creation in our nation. In our view, it's a very important part, and certainly the potential is great. That potential is known mainly to you. You know which way you can contribute to that. And I was very refreshed, it was very refreshing to hear the words of Professor Ajith, where you have also identified where you need to work in order to take Sri Lanka to really benefit by biotechnology. That really is your call. It's not something that we as economic planners could give you ideas, but you should be able to find ways and means of converting science into rupees. I think this is an important facet of the total transformation that we are looking for in our country. For too long, we have been thinking of science as being a standalone knowledge that we are providing to ourselves in order to enhance our overall capabilities. Yes, that is important, but at the same time, for any element to be sustainable, there must be a continuous process by which wealth is created through that process. So here, you have identified, and I don't need to talk about it anymore, because you have seen the potential that is available in other countries. You should be able to see science not as a cost, but as a profit-generating resource. A resource which will feed into the profits of organizations. Not necessarily for the central bank to give you money, but for the central bank to be getting money as a result of your efforts, and we are looking forward to that. And I believe there are many examples of that. There are many research foundations that are extremely profitable all over the world. We hear about drug companies whose research runs into billions of dollars. But why are they investing those billions of dollars into research? Not because they are only interested in finding solutions, not only interested in finding cures, but they also want to transform those cures into profits, into dollars. I think that element is important for us to get into our systems as well. That feature is exceedingly vital if we are to make use of science in a more inclusive manner and in a manner that will profit our country enormously. There are not only biotechnology studies that have created enormous wealth for people. Recently, I was reading the life story, the shortest so far life story of Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. Just an idea. And the first time when he went into the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, the shares were quoted at $104 billion, more than the GDP of Sri Lanka. He is a young man, 20 odd years old, and his idea over a very short period of time had been converted into wealth, and that wealth was even more than the entire wealth of all our companies put together, and even higher than our GDP. But there could be Mark Zuckerbergs here. There could be young people, mature people, who have ideas, who have processes, who have the ability to convert those ideas into something solid and something valuable. Now that hunger should also be there. I won't use the word greed, but I think there should necessarily be a hunger to develop, a hunger to come up with new ideas, innovate, and the overall the setup is not only national any longer. We are connected to the world. Because we are connected to the world, we can contribute to the world. And that is what I believe Sri Lankan scientists, Sri Lankans also must appreciate and work towards. So there could be enormous opportunities for us. We have already embraced the concept of a knowledge-based economy. We have identified in the Mahinda Chintana knowledge as one of the most important drivers of future Sri Lanka. And in that context, no better people are there than yourselves who can really transform the country on that basis. So the new economic model of Sri Lanka suggests that you have a very, very important role to play. The 21st century, I'm told, is a century for biology. The 20th century belonged to physics and chemistry, but now biotechnology would be in the forefront, and there are many experts who are coming up today with ideas in many fields, and there is definitely going to be a monumental impact through those processes. Already, governments of many Asia Pacific countries, such as Japan, Singapore, even India, Thailand, Malaysia, and Australia, have embraced this concept and are moving towards developing their own platforms to benefit by that. So we have also set the stage for that. So I'm particularly pleased, Professor, and all of you have got together and are beginning to seriously consider this as a subject and seriously consider of the transformation of biotechnology towards wealth creation. I'm sure all of you have the ability to work on that, and you will have the framework to bring new solutions to our country, particularly in the field of agriculture. I'm told that there are, in 2013, around 18 million farmers in the world who grew biotech crops, and over 80% of them were poor farmers in developing countries, not in the advanced nations. In China alone, 7.5 million small farmers benefited by biotech technology. So this is the future, and you have actually embraced that. So in the next few years, the estimates are also mind-boggling. Increasing crop production in the US has happened as a result of biotechnology. It can provide a better environment. Professor spoke about the need to improve our environment, and there could be opportunities for you in so doing. Reducing carbon dioxide emissions, conserving the biodiversity by saving the land so that less land is being used. So all these would probably be the ways in which you can contribute towards wealth creation of our country. Is Sri Lanka prepared? That is the question that you will need to answer. We need to be prepared. I'm not an expert to give you advice on that. You'll probably need to advise the government on that to see whether you're prepared. Are you really prepared to take this forward? And are you preparing yourself sufficiently to take the country forward in this aspect? I'm encouraged by the fact that you have already had meetings of this nature. I was impressed by the comments made by the minister, the senior minister, Professor Tisartana, who I know is a person who is completely immersed in science, and the fact that he is taking such a keen interest is also very important. So I think the question as to whether you are prepared and whether you can be even better prepared is something that you will have to answer yourselves, and hopefully you would do whatever that is necessary through the universities, through the councils, in order to get other sciences also concerned. We must also caution others and be prepared to learn it ourselves, that sometimes results may take a little time. It's not like instantaneous transformation that takes place. So you need to engage policymakers and not raise expectations too high in the short term. But always ensure that there are various features that will be fed into the economy on a regular basis, which ensures that your actions are also profit oriented and are future driven. If you do that, I believe the Treasury, the government, and even the central bank would look at you as people who are creating wealth, who are contributing heavily to the new developments of our country, and you will definitely get a year which is not only sympathetic but will be extremely honored to give you that status to contribute to the economy. A few areas that could perhaps be used as applications: healthcare. This was what my research studies from our economic research turned out for me. Healthcare, biopharmaceutical. I'm told that the value of pharmaceutical imports has risen tremendously in Sri Lanka, and you could perhaps look at some of those areas. Import expenditure could be reduced, new vaccines could be developed. Then energy and industrial, the biomass generation is another area that could be of real use for you in wealth creation. Agriculture, biotech, crops, and those particularly in horticultural and flowering young plants could make use of biotechnology processes, and those will be areas that you could perhaps make use of for the future. We also recognize that biotechnology can be capital intensive, where initial capital could be high, and that needs to also be supported. But in supporting, if there are always returns that are also coming in, then you will find that there will be a lot of people who would be quite happy to support that. So to create the infrastructure for that, offering incentives to industries, as well as expanding the capacity of human resources are areas that we need to be looking at, and you can be sure that we, from the economics side of it also, would be prepared to look at these in order that you can be supported to create wealth. Lastly, may I say thank you very much to you for inviting me, and to say that we do believe that you have a very important role to play, and through that, if you were to convert the concept of science, as Professor Ajith mentioned, into rupees, I believe you would truly be ensuring the wealth creation of our nation, and you would be standing out as a very important facilitator for the economic development of our nation. Thank you very much.